Welcome. I'm Danny Ludke with Dragonchain. Today we have Joe Roats, the CEO of Dragonchain, and today we're going to be talking about current crypto news. Joe, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the crypto space, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I'm a longtime software architect, so I've been interested in software generically for a long time, focusing mostly on scaling and security and open source. And I came across, through one of my colleagues, Satoshi white paper in 2010. It was obviously really interesting to what we did, and generically very interesting for its effect on software itself as a model. And so we started playing with it a lot. We started building things, worked for different groups, startups, and one thing led to another. Went to Disney, built a platform based upon all those things that I had learned, focusing on actually using the technology in business. And we built a platform, and we open sourced it, and now we're here.
So, being in the crypto space, there's a lot of interesting things that are happening and a lot of changes that are happening. One of the things that's piqued my interest is the Libra. And what do you think about, what is the Libra, and what do you think about it?
It's Facebook's stable coin, I guess, right? And I'm not an expert at it yet, but there are a lot of opportunities, and there are a lot of interesting developments around it, and that's good and bad. There are some things that are, a little bit of a concern with it, of course, being Facebook.
What's the problem with Facebook?
Mostly, I would say, and it's just when you step back and you look at it, as a sequence of events that led to this. I mean, it's obvious crypto is interesting for business, and it's obvious that there's a lot of potential value, and if a company can really build something that makes sense, it can be extremely valuable for them. But when you step back and you look at what got them there, it seems to be a little less perception of, here's this value, let's harness it and use it to solve real problems. To me, it looks like they're using it as a distraction. That is, they've gotten in trouble for so many privacy issues. They've been very cavalier with the people's data, and even to the point where they've profited off of other people's data in ways that they weren't supposed to by their own terms, and then you look at censorship. There's a massive amount of censorship. There's questions about whether it's an actual platform or if it's something else, and politically. So they have all these troubles, and into this, instead of fixing, because the thing is, that was interesting to me, that a lot of those things can be fixed. You can put administrative actions on chain, so you can prove that your administrators are following the same policy and procedure for any ban that happens. But instead, no, they don't put that on there. The privacy, they would be a prime candidate for building a proper privacy solution with decentralized identity or some level of self-ownership of your stuff. I mean, they're the ones that could build that and build the best case for it and everything else, but instead they pushed that whole thing aside, and they're doubling down by taking all of those problems they already have and adding all of the usual suspects, all the banks in, so that what basically they're going to be able to know. In fact, even some of the people who are writing positive articles are talking about, this is like the perfect KYC opportunity because it's like, we know everything about you and how you're spending your money. And it's crazy to me that they're doing that.
They could run KYC without actually having to run KYC.
And it's worse. It is even worse because it's called Libra. It's like it's crazy. So
I think it's kind of interesting. I always think about trust is built with consistency over time, and if you look at the opposite of that, that's kind of where Facebook is headed with consistently violating your privacy in those pieces. And so you look at blockchain as an opportunity. I find it hard to see Facebook as the root of the trust of the system itself. But I think it's kind of an interesting opportunity in general as we look at what can companies do as either fast followers, or look at like what other the leaders in the industry are doing within blockchain, and how can we replicate some of those things. I think it's actually a nice proof point of Facebook getting together with Stripe and Uber and all of these other organizations and coming together to build more efficiencies and to streamline data sharing and those pieces in a model that could be very interesting depending on how it's implemented. And so I think that leaves a lot of opportunities for businesses out there to do similar type of activities. What do you think?
There's definitely opportunity to leverage it to at least try to provide better value to those people. But at its basis, and I have read that that there is at least some component of governance, that it's not all Zuckerberg sitting behind his screen and deciding everything. That it is stretched, but some of the issue is it's stretched to these $10 million partners that are all banks, and Uber, and but still it's still not purely decentralized. And it'd be amazing if you could potentially provide some of what we talked about, some of those solutions to that network, but who knows?
What do you think about the $10 million price tag for a node?
I don't know. It's what it is.
I kind of think it's a joke.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of funny.
It's how they keep their
like,
buddies.
I mean, how many people have $10 million just sitting around to do it? It's kind of the 1% of the blockchain people.
Yeah.
But I do think it's interesting as maybe it leaves open opportunities to fractionalize a node. Maybe you could take that 10 million and do a pool and have individuals, and that would always be kind of an interesting use case of how you can fractionalize an asset like a
that would be
$10 million node.
Yeah, no, that would be really neat if it's allowed, to see terms, and I don't know, but that would be pretty cool if you could, get together in a community and put together a node.
Do you think Dragonchain is going to be building on top of Libra? Like, are we going to do interchains or other things with that?
We have spoken to a couple of different people about Interchain to get access to that network.
Wait. Maybe we should explain what Interchain is.
Right. It's Introp, so it's basically the ability to transfer state between chains, and we do include other non-chain similar, Tangle and even traditional systems where we're leveraging the power of Dragonchain with these other systems to try to glue and integrate different systems together.
What did you mean by state change? I think that's pretty interesting. Like you're talking about state changing and being able to transfer state between chains. Is that?
Yeah, I mean we see it as an extension of maybe not even an extension, but trying to follow the same philosophy you have with REST on the internet itself. That is state transfer between client server, between server. That you can have then stateless services, you can have more flexibility between systems, and yet the interesting thing is with blockchain you can track that state. So you can theoretically have a chain on one side that talks to a chain on the other side and transfers only the state that the chain on the other side cares about. It processes it, it can it can ship it back. It can ship it to another chain, and we also have other pieces which fit very well what you see on traditional internet, where you have a series of state changes when you're going through a process, and if something new comes in, some regulatory thing, something from another department, we need something to happen, you can insert that in the middle of this list of state changes, and the rest of the system doesn't care. But you can add another capability just like you can on the internet. So it's really interesting, and we see that very much as the model, and it fits really well with Dragonchain because the processing is so much cheaper, well, it's a lot more inexpensive than other chains. So you can basically operate it as you would a website 10 years ago, right? So it's a very simple thing, yet you can leverage all the power, of the blockchain itself and other blockchains. So,
how would something like that work with Libra?
Depending on what it's connected to, you could you could do things with payments. I mean, theoretically, you could do things with identity. I mean, the beauty would be if they would abstract some of the some of their graph info. That theoretically, if I could say, "Oh, I'm going to shut off my account, I'm going to export all my data, and we're going to build a system that would segment it and break it into as many factors as possible in Dragon Factor," and now theoretically, with a new account, or if I reopened that account, probably a fat chance that they would delete the data. Maybe GDPR applies, I don't know. Either way, that I could now use those factors to talk to my friends and to make payments and to use that full ecosystem, yet I'm controlling all of my data. That's probably the prime opportunity that we would want to look at, because it's valuable, it's future focused, and it's what people really want, I think.
I like that. It really changes like the dynamics of how you handle data, and even the data models of what we deal with, like the identity, who are we, and even are we who we say we are?
Yeah. You can hide all the political stuff that you said last election. You can you do whatever you want then, right?
Well, to that, cheers, Joe.
Thanks.